Hey guys, so one of my goals for this channel, one of the reasons that I'm, have this channel, is to share our foster care journey and to share it as we're going through it. I just posted an update, kind of like letting you know where things were at about a month ago, maybe not even, and I feel like things have completely changed and yet nothing has changed. So I want to document this process, and also at the same time I don't want to give too many details for, in the future. I feel like I don't want kids knowing all the things, or not kids knowing all the things, they can know all the things, but I don't want kids thinking that everyone else knows all the things, if that makes sense. So I'm going to be fairly vague, but at the same time hopefully give you a look into a bit of what's going on in our lives as far as foster care goes, and just the unpredictability of foster care. Seriously, at this moment, in the next few weeks, we could have 6 kids in our home, we could have 4 kids in our home, or we could have 2 kids in our home. And there's a couple different things that are going on that could affect that, so I want to share this with you. So last week, okay, today's actually Saturday that I'm filming this, so Monday, well, it actually kind of starts before Monday, but we've been talking a lot about Buzz and Woody, who we had in our care when we first started fostering. They were our very first placement, and we had them for 3.5 months, and then they went with family. And then we found out that a year ago they ended up back in care. So they were in pretty much in a group home situation because they couldn't find foster families with them. I actually just want to share a little bit of statistics. Foster care here in Saskatchewan, I found the stats from June of this last year here, so like a month ago. End of June, there were 3,700 and some kids in foster care that were like regular foster children, and then there was 2,000 and some that are considered non-wards. So they're like, one of the things I talked about I think in my last update was like this whole idea called PSI, is where you're like their legal guardian. You still get paid a bit. They kind of still count as foster kids in some ways. So there's almost 4,000 in care, and then another 2,000 in some non-wards. And there's only 490 foster homes in our province. And when I took even like the 3,700 number and divided it by 490, that is still 7.5 kids per home. Obviously, I sent out a newsletter the other day and I said I feel sorry for that half kid. That's sarcasm. But how many people have 7.5 kids in their home? We have 2 foster kids. So that means there is an excess of kids and not enough homes. And that is why there are so many kids that are sitting in group homes in our province. And they're not like, when I thought of like group home, that was like troubled kids, like the teenagers that were troubled and they couldn't find foster homes for them, so they put them in group homes. But no, our little R2D2, he was in a group home before he came to us. And Buzz and Woody were in a group home for an entire year because they were, how old were they? 3 and 4. 2, 3 and 4 kind of during that time. So it's little kids too. So this is kind of my plea. If you have like had foster care on your heart at all, no matter where you live, whether you're in Saskatchewan or not, like there's probably a need wherever you live for foster parenting, and it's not easy. It has broken my heart, but I don't think that we're really called to live an easy life. So I would challenge you to pray about that and to look into the process in your the place that you live. Yeah, I can talk more eventually about like some of the reasons we didn't want to foster a few years ago and like how I came around. But anyway, I was trying to do an update. So Buzz and Woody were in care in a group home. So we made the decision that we would see if we could add them back into our family. There's a few things that we're like not even sure if that would happen. First of all, we didn't know for sure if they were still in care. Second of all, we didn't know if we would get approved. Currently we are approved for 2 kids between the ages of 0 and 4. Buzz just turned 5 this month, and obviously that would be adding like 4 foster kids into our home. So like there would be 4 foster kids in our home and we're only approved for 2. So we would need like some approvals to happen. This was a big decision for us to like think about, because we would need to do some like room rearranging, because currently R2D2 and BB8 have their own room, and some of the legal things in our province, the foster kids, if they're younger than 9, they have to be on the same sleeping level as the parents. So we would need to have 2 kids in each room. And then as well, our vehicle currently only holds 7 seats, so we would need a new vehicle. So it's not just like, oh yeah, we'll just like add them into the family. There was like a lot of things we had to think about. So Monday morning I emailed our social worker and was just telling her this is where we're at. If they're still in care, we would like to see if we could get approved to have them in our home and kind of go from there. And she did some figuring things out in the morning, and she found out that they are actually with family. So as of right now, they don't need our care. But she did ask if she should put it on our file that if they come back in care, that we should be notified. And we have said yes to that. So as of right now, they are not really a possibility, but it could be any time. They were in care with family for a little while last year before they ended up back in care. So it's very unknown as to if or when they will ever be a part of our family again. And I've really realized, even just like from that process, that I don't think that we can foster forever or like foster all the kids forever, because Buzz and Woody have a piece of my heart. R2-D2 and BB-8 have a piece of my heart. And, you know, if neither of them were in our home, I still want to make sure that there's room in case they come back again. So yeah, that's kind of like a whole nother conversation, but I think at this point we probably won't foster any other kids, just because it was really too hard on my heart knowing that Buzz and Woody were in care and we couldn't take them in, or at least we weren't ready to take them in, or whatever, we didn't have the space. So I think that's a decision that we've made, but I don't know, I feel like we try to make decisions and God's always like, yeah, right, I got a different idea. Okay, so that kind of covers Buzz and Woody. And then, so that was Monday. Tuesday, I found out that there is a good possibility that R2-D2 and BB-8 could be leaving our home in like the next 6 weeks. I think I explained in my last update, there were some potential things that could happen for them to go back, and things are moving in that direction. It's always hard because it's like, well, you know, you need, these steps need to be taken, and 2 steps have already been taken. So at this point, it's looking like a month from now, like 3.5 weeks from now maybe, they will possibly start the transition where they're with family for a few days and then with us for a few days, and kind of start that transition. And from my understanding, when that transition starts, it's pretty much like 30 days before they need to be back full with birth family. So that means like, yeah, less than 2 months from now they could be gone, and then we would be down to 2 kids unless Buzz and Woody came back. Then we would be up to 4 kids, and then unless R2-D2 and BB-8 came back, then we could have 6 kids. We are definitely realizing that this is like one of the hardest parts, is just not knowing, not being able to plan. You can't like plan a vacation. You can't, Jared wants to buy a new vehicle and doesn't know if we should buy like a 7-seater or like an 8-seater, because you don't want to have like an 8-passenger vehicle if you only have 2 kids, right? Like, but you also don't want to buy like a little car if you're potentially going to have 6 kids. So that's kind of where our situation is at these days. I would love it if you could pray for us. Be praying for Buzz and Woody that their situation will, I don't even know if I want to like pray that it will continue, but like that it will be a stable situation, and if it's not, that they will come back and care. Like, I'm not against kids being with birth family, but I just want them to be in a positive, loving, safe situation. And if that's with birth, if that, you know, those boxes are checked with birth family, great. But if not, then I really want them back in care, right? And then same, I would just love it if you would pray for R2-D2 and BB-8 and their whole situation, for their hearts if they start transitioning. Like, they are attached to us. They haven't seen any family. They've seen family once in almost 6 months. In the last 6 months, I mean. So that's huge. So pray for their hearts, pray for birth family that things will go well, and then also just if things don't go well, that they'll just stay in care or come back into care quickly. It's it's a really confusing thing to pray for, because in some ways I just kind of want to pray that things like fall through and they just stay with us. But that's selfish. And, you know, I would love for things to work out, but I also don't want them to go with birth family and then, you know, get neglected or abused or whatever. Like, even just thinking in general here, if our home is the better situation, then I want them to be here. But that can be a very hard thing to pray for, like both ways. So if you can be praying for us, this is kind of where things are at. And I guess we will see in a few weeks what my next update is.